Therefore, Fergie's appearance on Oprah is also a soft option. It's intriguing though because several estimates are being made regarding the amount of money she may make if she agreed to a true interview. After their official responsibilities end, some individuals associated with the British monarchy discreetly leave the public eye. Others, on the other hand, seem to keep coming up in the news cycle, no matter how much time has gone by. Sarah Ferguson is a perfect fit for that second category. The Duchess of York continues to captivate royal watchers worldwide, even after her divorce from Prince Andrew more than 3 decades ago. Occasionally, a new report emerges, a new image sparks discussion, or an anonymous source suggests that a novel and surprising development in her story might be imminent. Sarah Ferguson may be considering one of the biggest changes to her lifestyle in years, according to more recent media reports. She is reportedly thinking of establishing a more permanent base in London after dividing her time between Windsor and many places overseas in recent years. If this turns out to be true, the relocation will probably entail much more than just a postcode change. It might indicate a purposeful move toward a new stage centered on self-reliance, intimacy with family, and a more prominent public position. Why, therefore, is this change occurring at this time? After years of living away that frequently left onlookers unaware of her precise location. Is the Duchess re-evaluating her relationship with her daughters, the royal family, and the changing course of the monarchy? In order to understand why Sarah Ferguson is still one of the most fascinating people associated with the British royal family, we will closely analyze these reports and distinguish between what has been confirmed and what is still conjecture. We frequently go into the backdrop, context, and personalities that are frequently difficult to completely comprehend, so if you value in-depth royal coverage that goes beyond the headlines, think about subscribing and turning on notifications. Sarah has mostly maintained control over her own schedule and whereabouts, in contrast to full-time working royals whose schedules are usually disclosed in advance. She has maintained an exceptionally close relationship with her ex-husband Prince Andrew at Royal Lodge in Windsor, where she has continued to spend time. According to reports, she has also travelled to Switzerland, Austria, and the United Arab Emirates for extended periods of time. Sarah has a tendency to keep her everyday life somewhat private, in contrast to many popular personalities who freely divulge details of their lives through interviews or social media. Naturally, the lack of official information has led to conjecture. Every travel overseas, every rumoured visit to a spa centre, and every extended absence from the UK has prompted new enquiries about her living circumstances and plans for the future. However, a number of outlets have recently stated that this pattern may be changing. These claims, which cite unnamed individuals, assert that Sarah has been investigating relatively modest London apartments, described as one-bedroom units, instead of the expansive rural estates usually associated with royal life. The concept alone has garnered a lot of attention, despite the lack of formal confirmation, because of how drastically it would contrast with the opulent properties traditionally associated with the royal family. The symbolism can have significant weight if the stories are accurate. Choosing something much more humble would imply a whole different chapter rather than creating an image associated with royal opulence. Sarah was frequently described as gregarious, humorous, and grounded during her time with Prince Andrew. Many believed that, in contrast to the more formal image the organization usually presents, she gave a feeling of relatability to royal life. However, the same public attention that helped her at first turned into a burden. Every public event was closely observed. Every vacation photo became front-page content. Each decision sparked a lot of discussion. The strain of continual media coverage eventually became apparent. Sarah had to discover her identity outside of the framework of formal royal duties after her marriage ended in 1996. Instead of withdrawing from public life, she followed a diverse career path that included writing children's books, publishing autobiographies, creating documentaries, making inspirational speeches, and supporting global charity causes. While some of these initiatives were criticized, others were truly successful. However, one characteristic remained constant throughout her public persona: she never gave up. Sarah has often been cited by royal analysts as one of the most resilient members of the monarchy. She has continuously returned with new projects, fresh concepts, and ongoing attempts to change how people view her, even after periods of severe public criticism. In subsequent years, as she dealt with issues far more significant than tabloid attention, her tenacity became particularly evident. Shortly after disclosing that she had received treatment for breast cancer, Sarah also disclosed that she had skin cancer. It seems sense that the public's attention was diverted from royal drama to something much more relevant. Since the process of recovery takes precedence above titles, public opinion, and media narratives, health tends to reinterpret everything. During that time, Sarah expressed gratitude to her medical staff, emphasized the need of recognizing illness early, and encouraged others to put their own health first. Since official responsibilities frequently conflict with personal life, a number of observers have stated that these events impacted her worldview, leading to a quieter public presence and a greater emphasis on time spent with loved ones. Family has always been the unifying factor for Sarah Ferguson, whose public persona has changed numerous times throughout the years. That could be one of the reasons the rumors of a potential return to London have garnered so much attention. This isn't really a real estate story at its core. It's a story about what she values most, about reinvention, and about a woman who, in spite of decades of unrelenting public attention, is determined to write her own story instead of letting others decide how it ends. The Duchess of York has occupied a unique position in the larger royal story for many years. Although she is no longer employed by the family, she is nevertheless connected to it through her daughters, acting less as a senior royal and more as a self-reliant public figure with her own goals, causes, and voice. That distinction is important. Sarah's public life has increasingly been shaped by her own choices, in contrast to royals who carry out their obligations on behalf of the monarch. She would be closer to publishers, broadcasters, non-profits, and media outlets that have followed her tale for decades if she moved back to London. And there is undoubtedly a lot of curiosity in that tale. Few members of the royalty have seen such drastic fluctuations in their fortunes. Sarah has experienced the thrill of royal weddings, the intensity of global celebrity, the sting of public criticism, financial difficulty, and major health scares. Despite everything, the public has continued to pay close attention to her. Even small announcements concerning her future cause a lot of conversation, which can be explained by her ongoing interest. Since King Charles III assumed the throne, royal analysts have frequently brought up the idea of a more streamlined monarchy, which typically entails concentrating public funds and official duties on a smaller group of senior working royals. Many musicians think this change will continue as Prince William assumes a bigger role. Princesses and Eugenie find themselves in a slightly unpleasant situation as a result. Both continue to be members of the royal family, are well known, and sometimes show up at family events. However, neither occupies the official status that was formerly anticipated of them. Some accounts, citing anonymous sources, allege that Sarah Ferguson has found this dynamic challenging to observe and that she believes her girls are occasionally judged more on the basis of disputes involving other family members than on their own achievements. It's unclear if that opinion is widely held, but observers point out that it would be a natural protective feeling for any parent. Eugenie has established herself in the art world while continuing to be active in philanthropic endeavors, and Beatrice has carved out a career in science and business while simultaneously raising her family. Both have spent years juggling their private occupations with the public's interest in their royal connections. However, when significant stories about the York family surface, the focus frequently goes far beyond the individuals directly involved. That's one of the reasons a recent family get-together received so much attention. According to reports, Sarah was especially happy to see Beatrice and Eugenie at events related to Peter Phillips and Harriet Spurling, which brought together a number of royal cousins and was generally regarded as a happy family occasion. Both sisters seemed comfortable hanging around with cousins and other relatives, according to onlookers. Those pictures suggested to some royal observers that family ties are still closer than the headlines might imply. Others saw it only as a reminder that royal families may remain really close even in the face of public challenges, just like any other family. Interestingly, the same accounts that described Sarah's joy upon seeing her daughters also suggested that she was wary of drawing too many conclusions from a single event. The anonymous insider claims that a single invitation does not always change the York family's larger situation. Sarah Ferguson's life narrative is replete with instances of this combination of caution and hope. She frequently talks positively about family relationships. She has, however, also seen enough public highs and lows to know how rapidly things can change. In addition, her bond with Prince Andrew is the part of her narrative that still fascinates royal observers the most. Sarah and Andrew have stayed remarkably close even after their divorce in 1996. They lived together for long periods of time, supported their daughters and grandchildren together, attended family events together, and Sarah has frequently called Andrew one of her best friends. Because it deviates from the usual pattern after a royal breakup, that dynamic has enthralled the public for years. However, rumors that Sarah might be looking for a different place to live in London have led some analysts to speculate about the possibility of another change. It's important to note that no formal announcement has indicated a significant separation between the two. If true, the rumors just imply that Sarah might be considering a more autonomous living arrangement, which wouldn't necessarily destroy their close relationship or familial ties. It would merely represent the fact that people change with time, even after decades of leading a particular lifestyle. That concept in many ways sums up Sarah Ferguson's whole journey. Having been a young duchess, a divorced royal, an author, a television personality, a charity champion, and a royal bride, she has seldom ever stayed in one position for very long. However, she has also encountered difficulties in recent years that no amount of willpower could easily overcome. Many longtime royal fans were taken aback by her public declaration of a breast cancer diagnosis, which came soon after she revealed a skin cancer diagnosis. The debate about Sarah Ferguson changed almost instantly as a result of those deeply personal experiences, shifting the emphasis from royal headlines and public appearances to recovery, treatment, and the need of identifying health issues early. She became one of the most well-known figures associated with the monarchy in London, where she made official appearances, started philanthropic endeavours, advertised her books, and made connections with a large number of admirers. As a result, London continues to play a crucial role in this narrative. London remained at the centre of many of her professional endeavours even after she left her royal duties behind, since publishers, broadcasters, charities, and speaking engagements have historically gathered there, making the city a crucial base for anybody hoping to maintain a prominent public position. That brings up another interesting point. The monarchy itself is always evolving. King Charles III has consistently emphasized a modernized vision for the organization, which many characterize as more focused and condensed. Discussions over the future course of the monarchy continue to garner significant public attention as Prince William gradually assumes more responsibility. Sarah Ferguson has a genuinely unique position within that changing scene, which may account for the public's enduring fascination with her. As a part of royal history, she represents both continuity and change, and her destiny is still up in the air. As recent reports indicate, the next chapter of her tale may be starting in the very place where so much of her incredible journey originally took shape. She carries the memory of one era while continuing to adapt to another, whether it entails new charitable endeavors, publishing endeavors, a few public appearances, or just spending more time with family. One thing seems more and more obvious. Sarah Ferguson doesn't intend to let other people decide how her story concludes. Returning to London might not represent a step backward at all for someone who has spent a significant portion of her life, proving that reinvention is always possible. Alternatively, it might be the beginning of a completely different chapter.